All right, sorry about that breakup. Back at it. This is Deanna, and we're going to finish the last couple of things on the base part of it, and then we'll get to decorating. I found my other pocket. So what we're going to do, and this is 4 7/8 wide by 3 1/2 high, and I scored it at 1/2 inch and 4 3/8 inch. And I am sorry about all the measurement mix-ups. Yes, with the first video. I don't know where my head was at. I don't know if it's the cold or what, but oh my goodness. So I apologize for how hard it might be to follow. And I also decided, because I was looking at it, and with that 1 inch edge on the sides, I was looking at it, and it looks a little big for what we've got going on inside. We're just going to center this. It's going to be off the edge about 1/16 of an inch on each side. And that's going to accommodate for the folds. And all right, put a glue there. So that is our last pocket in there. So one of my favorite people to watch is the Scrap Queen, Diana. She does some beautiful projects, and she did one, and I'll show it to you in a second here, that I decided to put on this top flap here. Now I added a magnet here and here. I'm not sure if I think we did that together, but then I also added a magnet on the very top of this angled pocket, and then on the first page you flip to, there's one. And then on the very last page here, on the base, I put one there. Just because once you get your papers on there and all these layers, it's just going to be so thick with the papers, because there's going to be a pink paper and then a decorative paper on each one of these. So I wanted to make sure I had enough magnets to compensate for that. And you could probably put some ribbon under here, under your paper, and then a ribbon under the paper here, and tie a little bow there if you don't have, just for me, I was going to go with magnets this time. So, all right, so what this is, and here's my prototype. It gets, of course, adhered down, so it'll hold better down. But when you flip it, it opens up to all these extra little picture places, and it does it both ways. In addition to that, you have a pocket here, and then your back one also creates a pocket. So I decided that's what I'm going to do on the center flap here. Because if you look, if I stand that up, you can see that if we don't have something else in there, it's going to just kind of collapse. I should have went maybe just a little bit with my spines. I should have went a little bit smaller, but it's already built, so now we got to do it. Now I got to deal with that. So that's what I decided to do. So we're going to build one of these, and she said she did not create the idea, but she did not say where she got it from, but that's who I got it from, was Scrap Queen. So, and I believe she uses it in her last Graphic 45 Christmas album she did in 2018. So if you want to view it in her thing, you can view it there. So what we're going to start with is 2 6-inch high by 2 9-inch wide pieces of cardstock. And this one I already scored, so we'll do this one together. So we're going to score at 1/2 inch. We're going to score at 4 1/2 and 8 1/2. Your 2 1/2 inch ones are going to be folded up, just like that. And your middle is going to become the hill. So it's going to be like a really, like a V shape. Oops, there's paper there, we don't need that on there. This is American Craft cardstock. It works pretty good for scoring. I don't have any problems with it. So you got 2 of these. There, just like that. So your 1/2 inches go down like that. And that comes up. All right. Now your other pieces, you're going to need 2 of them cut at 6 inches by 9 inches. And you're going to score both of those at a 1/2 inch. So you're going to score at 1/2 inch and 8 1/2. One of these gets folded in like so. That's actually your first pocket. The other one gets folded down. And that's going to be the next pocket. The reason this one is folded up is you're going to put a piece on top of here to create your first pocket. Then these get placed in here. Oopsie. Facing each other, just like that. And then these flaps will attach to the back of this one. Okay? So 2 6 by 9 scored at a 1/2 inch and 8 1/2 inches. Your last 2 pieces also come from a 12 by 12. Excuse me. One is going to be cut at 5 1/2 inches by 8 inches. That's the very top of that one flap. So that is the top of this one, the ones that fold up. And what you'll have, as you can see, is 2 1/2 inch pieces where I X'd it here. And we're going to cut those off before we glue this down. So that goes down. Your other piece is 6 1/2, so that creates your full 12 inch piece. 6 1/2 by 9. That's going to be scored at a 1/2 inch and 8 1/2. That is our very back piece. So that will get folded down. So 2 pieces that are 6 inch high. So that creates one piece of 12 by 12. Then one is cut by 6 by 9 and the other one's cut 6 by 8. And 2 pieces from another 12 by 12. One is 5 1/2 and the other one is 6 1/2, and they both get scored at, or they're both 9 inches wide. They get scored at a 1/2 inch and 8 1/2. That is our last one. All right, so let's get this out of the way and let's get assembling. All right, so let's, before we forget, I've taken the 5 1/2 inch piece. I've laid it on my other piece there, my 6 inch by 9 inch that's been scored. Oops, and I just missed that down. Lined up at the bottom so it's all even. I missed mark it with a pencil. For some reason that looks very crooked to me. There we go. And then we're going to take this and we're just going to cut that down there and cut it off of here. There's that little corner. We're going to do the same thing over here. Just cut on the score line and then cut a pencil line. If you have any pencil line left in there, you can just erase it. Oops, I lost my eraser. Just to make sure. There we go. It's easier to do it now than it is once it's built together. So we can glue this piece on here. Oops, I see I got pencil mark on the top of my paper there. There we go. All right. So we'll glue this together here. Match up my bottom. I just put my textured cardstock facing down. There we go. Match up my bottom square there. Along my top. Make sure it's there. Okay, good. I'll come in and I'll put some glue on this one. And make sure it's matched up. There we go. All right, perfect. So this is our top and our first pocket. Whoops, and I forgot to put my glue along the bottom there. So I'm just going to run a bead of glue right along the bottom there. Those things happen sometimes. It's not a big deal. So now we started out with just using 12 pieces of that cardstock, the decorative cardstock from Graphic 45. So now with these additional pockets, we'll have to create some more tags. So that's our part one. Now what we're going to do is we're going to flip this over, and we want to lay these down, and they should meet right in the center. Like that, and that. Okay, so you can use tape for this. I'm just going to use my glue. First we'll glue this one down, and we'll match it up from the edge here. So we're going to go to our edge. Make sure that's, because this should be like exactly 4. So match it up. Make sure it's lined up pretty good there. Bottom, the top. Sorry if my head gets in the way. Press that down a little bit. And open that. Press that. There we go. Give that a good seal. There we go. I'm going to turn it. And right now it doesn't matter what's up or down because it's going to open the same way. And we should have the same amount of space. So we're going to put our glue or our adhesive here. And again, we're going to go to our edge, line that all up, make sure we're not seeing edges there. That looks good. Looks good that way. Press here. Start it. Oops, I got a little bit showing there. But why? But why? Okay. Yeah, I'm still going to have a little bit showing there. Alright, I don't know why I've got a little bit showing there. I don't have it there. Okay. Not sure if my paper was cut crooked or what, but I'm not sure. That was weird. That is weird. Weird. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to take a brown marker and I'll mark in there so it's not as noticeable. because everything else looks like it's lining up pretty good. I'm not seeing. Yeah, it must be just cut crooked or something a little bit there. So that's what I'll do. I'll just take a brown marker and I'll make a mark in there so that's not visible. All right. So we've got to get our pocket back in orientation. So here's our pocket. So let's just flip this straight over to our left. So we know our pocket's up. Keep our orientation. Then we have our other 6x6 piece that we want to glue down. And we want to make sure that our score, our 1/2 inch score and our 8.5 inch score, they're facing up toward us, because that's what's going to attach to the back piece. Okay? So let's get our glue on here. This is going to be a little trickier. Let's get our glue down. Glue on this one. Oops. It's drying up in there. Sorry about that. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to start at my left-hand side here. Make sure everything's lined up perfect. Slowly walk my way that way. That's the nice thing about the two different colors, you know. And I'm going to press my finger down to catch that first one. And I'm going to keep walking. There we go. And I just slowly walked it so I could catch those without them. All right. Give this a good firm press here to make sure everything is connecting in the center. All right. I'll let that sit just for a second. Now this last one here is our back pocket. So those two scores, 1/2 inch scores, are going to face down. But I think I'm going to round that corner at the top there first. So we'll just give that a little snip just to make it round, not to stand up. I usually do that when it's on the table. Makes it a little bit easier, just to round those corners. You don't have to. So now this is going to get glued down to that middle flap. So we want our flaps down. This is going to get glued down here and create another pocket. Just like, so we'll have pocket, pocket, and then back pocket. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to put our glue on this flap. This flap. Ooh. And then run a bead along the bottom here. Whoops. That's always hard for me. I'm not very good at that. A little bead of glue down at the bottom. And that's going to seal up that pocket. All right. So let's match that up in the corner here. Along our edge. Down at our bottom. Do the same over here. Make sure we're about even. Looks pretty good. I'm going to flip this over so I can seal that better on there without going through all those thicknesses of paper. See a little glue squeezing out there. Get that. But this is easier to do it on this side. Make sure I get a good connection with that glue, with that other layer. Otherwise, I'm trying to press through a whole bunch of layers. All right. So now we can bring our book in, and we can get that installed. So it's going to go right on this flap. Now this seems to lay good and flat, so I am not going to add a magnet here because I think that'll lay just fine. And let's see here. Let's kind of center it. No. Yeah, let's center. That pocket ends like right here. I don't know if you can see that or not. But that flap, I should say, that flap ends right there. So you've got about a 1/2 inch there. So maybe center it on this thing here. And you also got just a little bit on each edge there. So maybe I'll just take a white piece of cardstock here and look. Maybe I will. Hang on. Just grab a white piece and lay it under there so you can see that. So you can see here and there. I'll just do that. And we can see exactly where we're going. All the way from the top to the bottom, we'll be able to see it. That'll give us a good line up then of where we want to be. I'm going to erase my pencil marks up here. Oh, actually, I don't need to. This is going to get covered here. So before we attach that pocket, let's do that. So let's find our flap for that. And we'll start with that one instead of the other. Let's see here. Top inside flip. So it should be these two here. But let me see if I can use that. That might not work. Let me see. It might be just a little too. Yeah, I think it'll still work. I think we'll be all right. Covers up a lot of that paper though, doesn't it? But you know what? That's all right. It's already cut. So might as well use that. All right, so this top inside flap was 7 3/4 high by 8 wide. So 7 3/4 high by 8 wide. And that ends up being about 1/8 of an inch smaller than the other flap. So let's get this glued down. Sometimes that's what happens when you change things. You run into other obstacles that you gotta think about. So, and this just happened to be one of them. This was already pre-cut and ready to go on as the page. And now we've got another thing laying on top, so it'll change a little bit, but I think it'll be all right. I don't think it's gonna do any harm. There we go. And the decorative page is going to be another. This is going to be 7 1/2. Should be 7 1/2 by 8, or by 7 7/8. 7 3/4. 7 3/4. Let me measure it. Here we go again today, right? 7 1/2 high by 7 3/4 wide for that one. That one or this one? I think I was going to go with this one on here. Yeah, I think we'll go with that one on here. I like that. I just see my glue on there. Whoa! Well, there we go. We want to make sure this is glued down good because it is going to have that extra pulling on it. So we're going to make sure that's glued down really good there. All right. There we go. So this is going to hold a lot. Now some pictures you're going to have to cut down, because this right here holds a 4x6 perfectly. So there won't be any edge showing on there. But you can cut it down and make sure now I'm not going to put any decorations on those. Just because the photo is going to take up the whole spot. So I'm not going to decorate these. I might put some edges or something on there in case you decide you want to use those for journaling or something, but I'm not going to do a lot of decorating on that. All right, here we go. So we're going to take our glue, do this one. I just knew if I didn't add something more to that center, that those 1 inches were going to kind of sink in. And we're going to add down along the bottom, close up that pocket, just like that. And try to split the difference here. There we go. And maybe I should have chosen to do them all pink instead of throwing in those brown ones. But, all right. Let me open this up. There. Open it up here. Press along the bottom. Actually, try to get it in the best we can. There we go. And we're just going to let that set up. Now, let's take this out. All right, that should help a little bit. So now once we get some other things in there, that will press that out a little bit and we'll be all right. Now I'm not so concerned. Okay. We're going to flip this open so we can view the whole thing. This is our left side. We just went just like this. So here's what we did. This is the front of the book. This is our left side. So I'm just going to make an L here just so we remember that. And we're just going to flip this open like this. So this is our left side. This is our top. Just to keep from getting confused and spinning things around. All right, now we'll get back to decorating. Now I have, this is what I chose. Let's do it closed up first so you can see what's going on here. Oops, there you go. So I decided on this for this side and this for this side with a magnet here. So what I'm going to do is glue down the pinks and get my magnet on there and then put that cover on there. So let me do that first here. All right, so this is my left side. That's my right side, sorry. Like, that's not my left side, it doesn't say left. So we're going to get this down there. Once I take care of this magnet, then we can do the rest with it all open. Okay. And I want the magnet between the layers because I don't want it having to go through too much to hold. So if I put it down underneath the pink, then I've got to deal with that. So that should be our left there. Or I mean our right there. There we go. So that's our right side. Now this, I've got these, I pre-put them on there just so I was ready to go and didn't have to mess with it. So this is going to, let me see here. This is just temporary. I just want to get a good idea. This is going to be here, like so. So I got to make sure I'm far enough into those magnets. So I'm going to eyeball the center, like that, and I can even see what we got going there. That's pretty close. All right, so I think we're like that. One there, and one there. Let's. Goodness gracious! Let's take this other piece of tape off here too. I need even more tape on there. Let's see what's going on here. Let's try it again. Here. Okay, that's far enough in. Press those down like that. And like that. Nope, I think I want to go in further yet. Oh, for goodness sakes. Well, what am I doing wrong here? I just need those two to adhere down there, and then I'll be good. Just like that. Maybe I should add just a little bit more tape, like that. I got one to stick. Here we go. Now let's get the other one to stick. There we go. All right. Set that aside for right now. All right, let's open this up. That's our right side. Okay. Which is this one? We always want to double check to make sure our top is the right, especially when we start flipping things around a little bit. We don't want to get messed up there. There we go. The reason I opened that up more is because those magnets were interfering with me being able to press this down very good. All right. All right, here we go. Now for the spine, I have 7/8 inch wide. I did not write the length, but the length should be 8 1/4. So let's lay that down. And you don't need to bring in two colors. And I just like the brown for my base. And then I wanted to bring in some of that pretty pink to make it a little more feminine. But you could go with just the brown and the decorative cardstock. And then I used this one, like those crowns on there. one's going to have a little bit smaller edge there. Line it up there. Go. It gets hard to start cutting these thinner little pieces. There's not much to hold on to. Find where I put my needle here. Maybe put that in there just for a second, otherwise it starts blocking up. All right. Okay. Now this is our back. This piece is 8 1/4 by 8 1/4. And I went with some of these measurements because I wanted to make the book a little bigger, but with my 8 by 8 paper, I wanted to not have to cut that very much. So that's why I went with this format to do it this way. So I didn't have a lot of scrap. And I'll show you in a second here once I get this pressed down. My actual scrap for the decorative cardstock so far. All right, this is my scraps that I haven't used, that were cut off from my decorative cardstock. That's it. So that's pretty good. And I even, some of those I'm going to be using to create one of the decorative parts of this book. Just a little strip of them, a couple little strips of them. Now when I'm done with the project, probably ones that small I will just discard, I think. Maybe some of them that look like they might be lines or something, or stripes I can hang on to and throw back in the book to use later, but that is one of the nice aspects about glue, is you have a few seconds to adjust if you need to. This is the back. This is beautiful paper. Of course, Graphic 45 usually does have beautiful paper. We have some great designers. All right. And then our second. Oh, here they are. I think I lost them. Again, these are 7/8 inch wide for the spine. It would have been a lot easier if I didn't do this second color. It saves a lot of labor and cutting and thought, materials. So hopefully it's worth my effort there. And it pans out to work out good. Otherwise, you could just either have a bigger border edge if you wanted a little bit bigger, or you could just have a smaller and go with 1/4 of an inch bigger than go with 8 1/4. Should have 8 1/2. There we go. That's coming together all right. Put this back now. Okay. That worked up a little bit there. All right, let's move this into frame. Okay. Now these are 8 1/4 by 4 1/4, I believe. I'll measure it after I put it on, since I've got my glue on there, just to make sure. But I think that's what they are. These two for the edges here. Now a couple of these panels here that we added are not, I think the two flips on the left side are less than 8.5 because they have to be able to flip inside of there, and so you have to have a little less to compensate for that area. All right, this is our last piece on the front. It's our left flap. And what I did was I just took that it's actually the first design sheet in the pack, and I just cut it in half at 4 inches. So I have it on both sides. And it worked out where I wasn't cutting her head off. So, but with the closure, it's going to cover that temporarily, but when you pull that open, you're going to see her face. All right. So there's that. So now, when we put this on, see those magnets will grab that. And we'll glue this side down, but I want to put a backing on the back of this. And I see a little pink edge on there too. So let me trim that on there. Sometimes you get that with a... Now I didn't ink anything, and I usually do. All right, so let's get some excess here. Scrap piece here. There we go. This is just a scrap piece of the pink, but we want to cover these magnets here and the excess tape that's on there. So we're just going to glue that on, and then we'll just cut off the excess there. There we go. And line it up with already squared edges, and then we'd only have to deal with cutting off 2 sides. There we go. Good. There we go. Okay. And just trim that off. There we go. Okay. So now that magnet will grab there. So we want to, here, put that there. I'm going to flip this over, make a mark with my pencil, just a real light one, so I know where to glue. Go. Okay, so let those magnets grab that again. There we go. And we're going to meet these up evenly here. Okay. Pull that apart. And then we'll put this over here. I want to make sure that's adhered to that really good, because that's going to be the most stressed point right there. Okay. Well, I'm kind of glad that I ended up doing this in 2 sections, because it would have been an awful long video. But I do apologize for my dog barking yesterday, and my husband coming home. He felt so bad. He's like, "I'm so sorry, I didn't know." I'm like, "It's all right." So, not a biggie. And you can probably see the difference in the lighting in my room. Boy, I hope that holds that closed. I think once we get more stuff in there, it'll be thicker. If not, then I'm going to suggest that you go a little bit thinner. But let's see what happens once we get this thicker. Because I don't like how that wants to fall back in there, but it's just because there's not enough space being taken up. Maybe once we get our other stuff in there, other papers and stuff in there, that will fill it out. So we don't have anything for this yet because that was a last minute decision. So, oops, get this cleaned out here. There we go. Take a sip of my coffee just for a second. Because once he got home last night, and then I had to make dinner, and then I decided to just wait until morning to finish this up. So let's go to our inside flap here, the top. And let's see, this is the bottom piece. Why do I have too much? Inside back. Oh, I know. I got to cut this one down because I decided to stop at the pockets. So let me mark this one. Well, you know what? Let's do this one. This one's already ready to go. So 7 3/4 by 8. And I wonder if, when on my prototype, I wonder if I didn't notice the difference as much because I did not put any chipboard on the ends, and that kept it maybe softer, so it didn't look as bad. But I think once I got that chipboard, I think that because it keeps it rigid, I think it made it more. It's weird. I don't know why I didn't notice that before, but I certainly am regretting it. We'll see. See if it turns out. See how it turns out here. All right. Now, because this is a folio, there's not going to be a lot of embellishments in this because, and you can put as many embellishments in yours as you want, but folios to me just aren't sturdy enough to withstand a lot of embellishments and extra things going on. So that's that one. Now this one. I was originally going to not put pockets here, so this is why this was cut like this, and I decided to add the 2 pockets. So originally it was 8 1/4 high by 8 1/8 wide. So what we're going to do is we're just going to bring it down here. Here's my pocket. I'm going to mark just a little bit above my pocket there. I'm going to give that a cut, and then I'll measure it. So now we have 4 3/4. So we're going to just glue that down on there. There was a lot of cutting involved in this one for just a folio. I probably will not go this big with a folio again. Well, You never know. I shouldn't say that because knowing me, I probably will. So we're going to line that up, and we're going to leave just about 1/8 of an inch above our pocket there. There we go. Whoops, lots of glue there. Goodness gracious. Okay. Now, these I have cut down, but I think I'm going to have to readjust this here, because I think I was planning on doing that under my pocket. So we're going to readjust this one just a little, just to make up the difference. There we go. Now, remeasure it. The pocket shirt part should be fine. It's just this top part here. So now this one is 4.5. I didn't change the width. There. I like these hearts with the crowns. I think it's pretty. Pretty, pretty. Okay. There we go. Now these should be, now this is one solid piece here. Remember, we just put the glue in the middle, but I did cut this to separate that, just so it looks a little better. So these are 3 1/4 high by 3 7/8 wide. I cut those 2 of them, and we're going to glue those down. It was easier to leave it as one pocket and then decorate it like it's 2. Because it will have 2 separate tags in it. Now I use the Graphic 45 large tag, the long one. I'll grab that in a second. And I didn't need the whole length, of course, because it's very long. The shorter one was too wide. And then the tiny one was just too narrow and too tiny. So, so these are 3 5/8 by 3 inches high. Here we go. It could have been a little bit bigger, but I think, oh, I know what I was going to do. Oh, yep. I'm going to go up higher, because that's what this was. I like this little thing here, and I thought, well, we'll just use that. So I'm going to do that at the bottom, just to bring in something else. That's why I cut these tinier. Didn't dawn on me when I seen it laying there with those. I'm like, until I just went to lay there. I thought, boy, I cut those way short. But I did it. I did cut them way short for a reason. There we go. And this one is just one of the things that says, live the life you imagined. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring that down there. I'll make a pencil mark here. And then I want to try to get most of the phrase. So let me go on here. Did I do that right? We want it the same length as that. Yep. I'm going to move this one over because I want that phrase. And we're going to do it there. So I'm just going to snip it here. And where are you? Right there. There we go. All right. just like that. You can see that? There we go. Just adds that little extra, breaks it up a little bit. And I will do that to some of these other ones too here. All right. And I didn't pre-plan any of the other ones, but I've got everything cut out here because I thought it'd be nice to add some extra details to break up some of these patterns. I think I'll take this one here. Oh, maybe this one. I almost want to add a belly band there, but let's leave that for right now, because you never know. I might decide to add a belly band. Let's get going on our other things. Let's start on the left-hand side here. These are our left-hand ones. So let's see what we got. Okay. I did cut these in pink also, but I think what I might do is something else. So I'm going to leave that for right now. This is my left top flip here. So that goes here. So this is, got measurements on here. So I believe this is the, yeah, 8 1/8 by 3 7/8 wide. And some of these where there's a number, so this is number 9 because that coincides with the number I put on my sample. So if I got confused or didn't make sense where it went, then I have something to go back to. So that's number, I'll make sure I got that there like that. Number 9. Helps to slide something under there so you can see a little better. Now, the top for this one is 7 7/8 by 3 5/8. And once we get this all done, we'll just kind of go and we'll use our press there to soften those score lines to make them compensate for the extra thickness. All right, I like that. Let's add something to that. Let's add, well, maybe a little tag here. They can journal, so they can put a picture up here. And again, you'll have to cut down your pictures because of this extra. So, but if they have that, yeah, cut down their picture a little bit. They can, and I'll leave that open in case the picture needs to tuck under there. So I'll just glue that down 3/4 of the way. That way they can tuck in. I got a little spot there. Let's do halfway. Little tuck spot to journal on there. I'll leave a little bit of an edge. There we go. Perfect. Then that picture will slide underneath there too if they need it to. Okay? If they don't, then that's fine too. That gives that a little extra something there. All right. So now let's flip it over and we'll just decorate this pocket here. So I have a piece that is too long. I measured my sample, and then my sample of the pockets aren't as big as these. So we are going to cut this down a bit. So let me see. Where's my pocket? Get all off of that. So we're going to cut that way down there like that. All right. That will be, I want to say like 1/2 inch. Let's see if we can cut that. See what we can do with this 1/2 inch. So that's gonna be right there. Sometimes your smaller ones are easier with the smaller cutters because you can hold on to them a little better. Here we go. All right. And that will slide right in there like that. Perfect. Now I got to erase these pencil lines because they will show. They will show. All right. And, you know, sometimes when you make adjustments, like I said earlier, you have to compensate for it sooner or later. And, well, we're at later. So, here we go. We don't want it on that score line. And we want to just leave a little bit of an edge just before our pocket. There we go. So that means if we had to redo that one, that means we have to redo this one too. Or maybe we can find, yeah, let's use one of these decorative strips here. That will look pretty. And that just says Princess, Princess, Princess. That was just one of the ones that was cut out that I didn't use. So let's throw that in there instead of messing with recutting the other one. That worked out pretty good. All right. So let's, whoa. Here we go. There we go. Just like that, I think. All right. Whoops. Take this tape off. Now these side pocket. Why do they seem smaller? All right. Probably because I did make those pockets bigger. How much bigger did I make them? Nope, they're 3.5. All right. Let me, You know what? I'm going to go with it, and we'll decorate it somehow. We'll decorate it with something, okay? But that should have been 3.25. And it looks like I've got it quite a bit smaller. So let's move up with this. I've got the ends right, the one side right, but for some reason I did not. But like I said, I used my sample. If I measured off of that, then I would end up with the wrong, because that I just used what I had right there. I didn't recut another piece of paper. So if it was 3 inches, and I used it and just wrote down that it had to be 3. But if I just wasn't thinking and reached over and measured that for my next piece, then that is where my mistake would have come in. I caught myself doing that a couple times on that one. So this is pretty and wide, so maybe we'll use that. That'll add a decoration. And we want the stripes. Okay. Oh, there it is. It's upside down. I want the stripes. Stripes with that. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go with the flowers. For some reason, the stripes in this one, I don't know what it is, but they're not doing a whole lot for me. But they don't have to. Every piece does not have to please everybody. Everybody always has a, you know, a favorite and a not so favorite. But overall, there's plenty enough to usually please everybody. That's typically why they say pick your favorite for your outside cover, because your favorite is probably different than some other people's. So now I'm gonna bring this out a little bit here to compensate for that. Let's do that one and that one. This is there. My lovely cold has not been keeping me awake too much, but man, I tell you, it's, you know, it's there all the time. I'm not sure if I like that or not. Yeah, we'll just leave the extra brown and go up on there. That looks better. We'll just leave the extra brown. Pencil mark that too. If you see pencil marks, make sure you go in and erase them. All right. So I'm coming up to the pink and not going back onto the brown. I was going to go back onto the brown, but I just didn't like the way that looked, so let's just do that. It would have been cute as little booklets, but it's too late now. They are glued down. All right. So now you got a pocket there, and I did, like I said, I pre-cut my tags. So let me see here. I'll show you. I used the big one, the long one, and then I just cut down the size paper I wanted to use, and then once it was done, I just rounded the bottom corners. So these are 3.5 inches high, and they are, I'm not going to do any decorative cardstock on them because they're small tags, so they're going to get covered up anyway. So, and I thought for journaling or whatever, so I just did brown on one side, pink on the other, and they will slide right in there perfect. So I did 2 of those, just like that. There we go. Now for this long one, it's for this pocket over here. Where is that? There it is. Like, I know there's another pocket, but this pocket is kind of narrow, but I needed it long. So what I did is I just picked the size paper I wanted, and I just lined it up in here and then cut it. It was a little bigger, but then I just trimmed it down, and I just rounded off the bottom and rounded off these so that I could have a narrow. But that tag's going to go in this pocket here, and then these are going to go in the last pocket. So here we go. So that's how I did that, and that is a Graphic 45 die. Comes with the flowers. I don't know if I have the packet here. I mean, I do, but I don't know exactly where it is. All right, what's next here? What do we got? So we're not using that because we replaced it. This is our right. God, what did I do? I think I did measure my pockets wrong. I believe I did. All right. This one too. All right, so that's going to slide down in there a little bit. So let's go. That is 5 1/4 high by 3 3/4 wide. But it looks like my pink is cut down wrong. I tell you, you start getting all those numbers in your head, at least for me anyway, and it's like if I'm not very strict with myself, if I get too much in a hurry, I will make mistakes like that. And sure enough, looks like I did. Now even this one has to be cut down. I bet because that pocket should, this is 3 1/2 inch pocket, and I bet the one I measured was not 3 1/2 inches. I guess that's a good lesson for me to make sure that my sample one is exactly like my finished one. I won't make that mistake again. My sample, whether I have to cut another piece of paper or not, will be exact, so I don't have any questions, because that's just crazy. And I know your time is valuable, and I know that's frustrating. I know it's, to me, frustrating when I'm watching a video and all right. So now let's grab another piece of pink. Since I'm not using these, I might as well just, and I'm just going to make a mark, just to make it quick and easy. So that's 3 1/2, so that means it would have to be 3 1/4 high. And then I have to measure the width. And the width is 3 3/4. So there we go. And I do apologize again. And hopefully never torment you again with another problem like this. That is crazy. I've never had that. And this, well, because typically I don't have, my sample books are usually the same. And I make samples. One, I can work out the kinks. And two, we can keep that for future use as a pattern book. But a lot of it's just to work out any problems you might have ahead of time, so you're not messing with that at the time. Now some people don't, and I don't always. Sometimes I just wing it, but most of the times I try to have a pattern. So now we got some more leftovers here, so let's see what we got. Oh, this got a nice finished bottom on it. So maybe that. Let's do that, okay? And that'll make up the difference for our, what we, well, for what I did. Now you won't have these problems because hopefully you're like me and I always watch a whole video first. If I think it's something I'm going to do, I watch the whole thing first before I even cut a piece of paper. Then I will either make notes or in my head remember if the person made a mistake and had to go back and do something, then I remember that, and then I don't make that same mistake that they did. So this tag here fits right in there. And you get pictures on there, they can journal on it. I just wanted to leave some spaces for journaling and stuff, and I thought that would be pretty. There we go. So see, that was taken care of. And it doesn't look like I cut left side, right top. Oh, okay. All right. This is definitely going to have to be retrained here because I can feel it. I can feel it. All right, so this is 3 3/4 by 8 1/8. that goes on that right flap on the top. So right where we just put that other pocket, it's going to go here. Just like so. And usually I only leave a 1/16 of an inch. So that threw me off this time too. But I wanted more of the brown to show than just a 1/16 of an inch. So that's why I went to a 1/4 of an inch. And that did not help me this time either. Because when you are, I'm a creature of habit. So I automatically wanted to just do a 1/16. So I ended up having to go back and cut again and again and again. Because I kept just wanting to go a 1/16. It just threw me off. Ooh, I kind of like that. Yeah, let's go with that. Yeah. Yeah, let's go with that one. Man, I don't know. Yeah. We'll just go with the way it was sitting. When I laid this out, I had everything laid out on there, so when I picked up my papers, I tried to pick them up with the top facing up so I would remember, but then something catches your eye. It's like my chicken moment, you know, for a dog. It's like, hey, look, a chicken. All right. Okay, so that's there. That there. Ooh. But those tags, that magnet might not, my magnet's right there. What did I do? What did I do? Why is my magnet not holding? Huh, too much paper? There's my magnet. Can't find my other magnet. Don't tell me I did not put a magnet in there. Yep, I did not put a magnet. I doubt if I can get this up. Oh. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's pulling up, but it's pulling the paper up. I can get past that point there. Maybe save it. So, no, there is a magnet there. It's right there. Too much paper? That is too much paper. Let me see if I do this, if it'll hold. I think it's too much paper. I'm not liking that at all. Okay, so what else can we do? We can put that down, those up, and add our magnet there. All right, that's what we'll do. I'm going to glue this back down. It's a little messy, but that's another thing with all these layers. That. And these are pretty good magnets that I use too. All right. Put that back down. So what we're going to do is this will go down first, and then these will go on top, and then I'll put a magnet here. Boy, that just doesn't want to bend there. Is it those tags? The tags. It is just thick. That's all. Just thick. Magnet in there. All right, well, let's try it and see what happens. Let's try it. Yeah, see that? It's holding. It's holding. But now I think we need a magnet for these two because that's going to pull on there. So, magnet. Okay. All right, let's do the top first here. So we know we'll do the top. Oops, sorry about that. We'll do the magnet on the top first. Oops, slide it over a little bit here. So then we know where to line it on the bottom. Woo! That one grabbed my finger really good. Here we go. This video is going way longer than it should have. All right. There. Why? Oh, it's still pulling up on that. It's magnetizing. It's holding it, but it's just. Just wondering if these. It's not those tags. All right. I think it'll be all right. Okay. We're gonna leave that for now. Now lift this. We've got one inside of here. And this is 4 inches by 8 1/4. That's for our base part. Stay away from that score line there. All right. This time we'll use that yellow on the inside. Yeah, I guess it's golden color. Mustardy. Okay. Okay. Down. Okay. Retrain that. Retrain that. Yep, that's just not. That is just not right. And I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how to fix it. But let's make it thicker. All right. I'm just trying to figure out if I can put a ribbon on there and tie that. You know what? I'm not gonna waste my time anymore.